You know, every single day we live our lives in fabric. But have you ever really stopped to think about where it all comes from? I mean, how does a simple little thread become the very clothes on your back? Well, today we're going to unravel that whole secret process. It really all boils down to a question like this. Why does a beautiful, crisp cotton sari hold its shape so perfectly, while your favorite t-shirt, maybe also made of cotton, is all soft and stretchy and just moves with you? The secret isn't actually in the fiber. It's all about how those fibers are put together. And that brings us to this key idea, fabric construction. Think of it like the blueprint for your clothes. It's the fundamental technique that takes a one-dimensional thing, a single piece of yarn, and turns it into a two-dimensional fabric. And this one decision, right at the beginning, changes absolutely everything about how that fabric is going to look, feel, and act. Okay, so let's start with the oldest method in the book, and probably the most common, weaving. Honestly, the best way to picture weaving is just to think of a simple, strong grid. It's a technique that's been around for thousands of years, and its real power is in its simplicity. The process itself is just beautiful. First, you've got your warp yarns. They're stretched out lengthwise, held super tight under tension, kind of like strings on a harp. Then you take the weft yarns and you pass them over and under, locking them in place at a perfect right angle. This simple over-under pattern, it creates an incredibly tight, stable structure. So what do you get from that grid? Well, because all those yarns are locked in so tightly, woven fabrics are super strong and really stable. They don't stretch much, which means they hold their shape and are incredibly durable. And that rigid structure is the perfect canvas for creating really detailed, beautiful patterns. And we see this everywhere, right? It's in your crisp, formal shirts, your toughest nails denim jeans, and of course, in the absolutely elegant drape and incredible designs of a traditional sari. For clothes like these, structure isn't just some nice feature, it's the whole point. All right, let's switch gears to our second method. If weaving is all about that rigid grid, knitting is the exact opposite. It's all about the flexible loop. It's a completely different way of thinking about how to make fabric. Now, unlike weaving, which needs two separate sets of yarn, knitting can be done with just one. The entire magic of knitting is creating rows and rows of interlocking loops. You can kind of see it here. Each new loop is literally pulled through the one that came before it. This creates this amazing chain-like structure that has flexibility just built right in. And the result of that loopy structure, you get a fabric that is basically the polar opposite of a woven one. It's naturally elastic and super stretchy. It's soft, it's comfortable, and it just drapes beautifully. Now, what's the trade-off? Well, it's a little less stable, so it can sometimes lose its shape a bit more easily. You know this fabric intimately. It's your favorite, softest t-shirt. It's that cozy sweater you can't live without in the winter. It's all of your activewear. For these kinds of clothes, the goal is pure comfort and freedom of movement. And that is exactly what the knitted loop delivers. So let's just quickly put these two giants side by side. Weaving, it's all about interlaced yarns, which gives you structure and strength. Knitting, it's all about interlocking loops, which gives you stretch and comfort. See? Two different blueprints, two totally different results. But what if you could make fabric without any yarn at all? Well, welcome to our third category. This is the modern marvel, the real rule breaker of the textile world, non-wovens. Non-wovens just completely skip the whole yarn-making step. Instead, they take a web of loose fibers and just bond them together directly. This can be done by melting them with heat, basically gluing them with chemicals, or even just physically tangling them up. No grid, no loops, just a sheet of fibers. And because of this super direct process, non-wovens have their own unique set of properties. They're incredibly lightweight and really, really cheap to make. This makes them perfect for disposable things, and they can be engineered for super specific jobs like being extra absorbent or fantastic at filtering tiny particles.
I'd be willing to bet you've used a non-woven fabric today without even giving it a second thought. They're in disposable face masks, those reusable shopping bags you get everywhere, and critical medical supplies like surgical gowns. With these, it's all about function over fashion.
Okay, so we've covered the grid, the loop, and the bond. Now let's bring it all home and finally decode what's actually hanging in your wardrobe. This chart really puts it all in one place. You've got weaving, right? That's interlacing yarn for strong, structured clothes like a sari, a kurta, or your jeans. Then there's knitting with its interlocking loops for all your stretchy, soft stuff like t-shirts and leggings. And finally, non-wovens, which just bond fibers together for lightweight, functional things like reusable bags or face masks. It's pretty much the ultimate cheat sheet for your clothes. So here is the most important takeaway, the crucial point. The choice to weave, knit, or bond is the single biggest decision that determines how a fabric is going to perform. It's like the DNA of your clothes, written in code, dictating everything from its strength to its stretch, long before a single stitch is even sewn. And that leaves me with one final thought, a little challenge for you. The next time you're getting dressed, just take an extra second. Feel the fabric of your shirt, your jeans. Can you actually feel the tight structure of the weave or the flexibility of the knit? Give it a try.